Hi there, everybody. It's Fred Thomas, and you are watching All Things Bike. And we have Jeff Latimer of Gus's Bike Shop here to give us a tour of a touring bike. All right, Jeff, show us what's going on.
Sure, thanks, Fred. So this is the Felt VR, a new bike for them called the VR stands for Variable Road.
Okay.
So as I alluded to earlier, we're kind of past the racing days, although Felt still has some phenomenal racing bikes. But for everybody else, they're coming out with bikes that are much more comfortable to ride. A lot of times the seat's going to be near the handlebars when it's set up and fit to the person, so more upright position compared to that racing position.
I like the sound of that.
And a little bit wider tires. So traditionally we had 25 millimeter tires. These are coming with 28. And the cool thing is there's actually room to do bigger tires. So for example, this bike, you could go throw your skinny 25 zone, go race, do a criterium, because it still handles really nicely, but throw something that wide on, a 32 millimeter,
oh, cool.
And take it out on the bike tour and the gravel road. So it can be your gravel bike or your road bike.
And I thought 25 was wide.
Right.
I mean, now you can, so if it says 32, you could probably squeak 38s on there. I mean, there seems to be always someone who wants
There's a little bit of room, but I don't know that you go 38, but certainly a little wider. But
right on. Well, so that's important for touring and probably just all around general comfort. What about the brakes? Because rolling smoothly is nice, but being able to stop.
Yeah, stopping is good. So again, what we're seeing is on the race bikes, we're still going with traditional cantilevers, although they're experimenting with disc on the race circuit. We'll see what happens. But these all have disc brakes, so you have really great stopping power, and depending on the level of bike, that might be a mechanical like this, or up to a hydraulic disc even on the higher end bikes. So great stopping power, comfortable ride with the bigger tires, and it's amazing. These tires are still super fast at 28.
I bet, I mean, it sounds like air conditioning to me. Once you start using a bike with disc brakes and wide tires, you're never going to go back to your old racing thing. And what about the gearing? I mean, not too much detail. We don't have electronic shifting. I mean, we're not using that sort of very complex gearing equipment. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with this bike.
Sure. So on this bike, we've got a compact crank up here, so that means that in the old days you would have seen a triple, so you had to have 3 gears up front, and now we've reduced the size of the larger ring a little bit, made this one much smaller on the inside, wider gearing range, and today we're running this particular bike has 8 speeds back here, so we're 16 gears, but if you're in the, say, the 105 nomenclature, Shimano 105. We got 11 speeds, and you're at 22 speeds. So still a wide range of gears for somebody.
A big vocabulary. Well, so you can stop, you can ride smoothly, you can get up and down pretty much every hill. But this bike's unique because you set it up with capacity, carrying capacity. Tell us about that. Yeah.
So one of the things I talked about is that the best bike for a bike touring is the one you've got to start with. And in the old days, if you didn't have, as this bike does not, no rack mounts, then you had to go buy a bike so you could do bike touring. But that's not the case anymore. So you can take that road bike, that race bike, still hook a bag like this up. This is going to connect to the seat and the seat post, simply Velcroed on.
It's amazing.
A lot of capacity. So this actually will expand out up to about, they tend to measure things by liters, but you can completely fill this thing up, 17 liters. We've got a little bit of a bag here, and because of the popularity of gravel and gravel grinders, which are self-supporting, this particular bike has extra water bottle mounts and mounts up here to actually mount that to full-time.
So it's got 3 water bottle mounts.
That's correct.
And we all thought 2 was pretty revolutionary.
Right, right. And now this one has 4 between the bags.
If you put one on the top. Amazing. And it's amazing what Velcro has done for us in cycling. I mean, so what would you typically put in these bags on one of your tours? So
my tours, I typically would go with 3 bags when I was doing the credit card tours. So I would have a bag up in the front, and this would be the traditional handlebar bag with a map pocket, and so that was going to sit like right up there. And I learned quickly not to have a lot of heavy things in there because of the way that it can affect how the handlebar you turn and the weight grabs it. And then I would have a bag in the middle, which I usually, again, I learned to put my heavy stuff in here. tools, extra tubes, things that
Right.
I was going to hopefully never touch because
right,
I
yeah. The heavy,
managed to not
messy
have a
stuff,
flat.
yeah.
And in the back is going to be my clothes and lighter items so that typically I would wear to dinner what I was going to wear on the bike the next day. So when you're bike touring, you're not necessarily in that Lycra race kit stuff because you start to quickly think about paring down weight.
Right.
So instead of having 2 kits and 2 sets of clothes for around town, you start to figure out how can I just get by on 2 sets of clothes and make them do double duty.
The fine art of planning, right? I mean, you run a whole clinic about this, right?
We do. So this year we're doing a bike packing clinic. We've done, we got some great instructors, outdoor ed instructors helping out. Wow. And we've done 3 sessions, one on, in this case, bike packing was going to be with a camping component. So we did a shelter and food component. We did a planning and navigation component. We still have one to go, which is going to be the packing. And for a trip like that, where you're going to be taking more gear, you start to look at different bags. So again, with the magic of Velcro, we have even these frame bags that are coming out. And so the cool thing about this is while it works on the road bike, people are also taking their mountain bikes out and doing some great trails out there. The Divide Trail, you can ride from Canada down to New Mexico and get out there and get on some single track. And with a variety of bags, you can turn your mountain bike, your road bike, your hybrid, really anything.
You don't have to go out and get yet another bike that's got the mounts for the rack. I mean, I guess if you really are, if you're going to ride across Siberia, then maybe you would get something like that.
Yeah, it all depends on what you're going to do. If you're going to go out and tour cross country on one of the adventure cycling routes, and you're going to camp the whole way, you're going to be carrying more gear. So typically people will still go with the pannier route. The bike packing sort of phenomenon refers to, again, taking it on a mountain bike, not having the racks, and so that also involves some lightweight gear, lighter tents, lighter sleeping bags, etc.
And you're not going extraordinary distances between remote, in remote sections of the country. You've got a bed and breakfast that's within striking distance, or a regular motel, or there's a town. So maybe you just have to pack some woolite to clean the clothes or something.
Yeah, so
or you don't have to worry about that.
My thing would be to get in every night, get the bike, find its home for the night, go in, clean what I wore that day, put on the clean clothes. The adventure cycling routes, the bikepacking routes actually try to get into towns. So some people do a mix of camping, maybe they're camping. They got 3 days between towns, camping a couple of days, but then there's always resupply points. The touring that I've done with my wife has been bed and breakfast to bed and breakfast, because that's,
That's good. I hear that, and that sounds very good. And we look forward to seeing more of your great videos about the tours that you have planned. And thanks so much for coming down and giving us this tour.
Bet. Thank you, and I really appreciate you having us today. So I wanted to give you a pair of the Gus's cyclocross socks.
Oh, lovely. So, well, thank you. You can never have too many socks, especially aerators. Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
All right, everybody. That was Jeff Latimer of Gus's Bike Shop, and you can learn more about touring at the website, and you can learn more about the shop on Facebook. That's all we got time for right now. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you again soon.
All Things Bike with Fred Thomas is brought to you by Xentis. Performance carbon wheels handmade in Austria for road and off-road riding. Xentis, next generation wheels. And Frame and Wheel eBay bike selling services. Time, space, cash. Pick 3. And AD Bikes, the modern face of Austro Daimler cycling and the bike company of the future.